The once unshakable foundation of American financial hegemony is crumbling before our eyes. The US Treasury market, long considered the deepest and most liquid in the world, is experiencing an unprecedented withdrawal of foreign capital that signals a shift in the global economic order. Central banks and sovereign wealth funds are reducing their Treasury holdings, not as a temporary market adjustment, but as a deliberate strategy to escape dependence on a financial system that has become increasingly unstable and weaponized. This quiet exodus from dollar-dominated assets represents more than just a reallocation of reserves. It might mark the beginning of a truly multipolar financial era that, while redefining economic power for generations to come, will also be a more equal age.
The decline of the dollar's hegemony is the single most profound economic story of our time. It begins with the stark reality of America's own balance sheet. The national debt has spiraled past $36 trillion, with interest payments alone now consuming 3.3% of GDP, a growth rate that far outpaces national revenue. If this situation persists, a U.S. Treasury default could come sooner than anticipated and trigger a full-blown dollar crisis.
The weaponization of dollar dominance through financial sanctions has accelerated this decline far more than any economic factor alone. When the United States froze Russia's foreign reserves, it didn't just punish Moscow. It sent shockwaves through every capital holding dollar assets. Nations recognized with sudden clarity that their treasury holdings could be rendered worthless overnight by political decisions in Washington. This realization has driven even traditional American allies to quietly diversify their reserves, seeking insulation from geopolitical winds. The BRICS nations, meanwhile, have moved forward progressively, developing alternatives, payment systems, and increasing their use of local currency settlements in bilateral trade.
The end of dollar hegemony reflects the transition from a unipolar to a multipolar world. While the dollar retains its liquidity advantage, its foundations are being fatally weakened by unsustainable debt, technological disruption, and a global political awakening. This new reality will reshape the global power structure. As America loses the exorbitant privilege, the consequences will be felt at home. Rising borrowing costs will inevitably lead to a tangible decline in American living standards, making a strategic contraction from the world stage all but inevitable. For the rest of the globe, the transition will be turbulent, but the long-term prize is a more diverse and equitable system of global economic governance.
This transition won't occur overnight, nor will it result in the dollar's complete disappearance from global finance. But the era of unquestioned dollar hegemony is indeed ending, replaced by a fragmented system where economic power is distributed among competing blocs. For the United States, this means confronting an uncomfortable truth: the privileges it has taken for granted, the ability to finance endless deficits, to project power through financial sanctions, to import goods in its own currency, were never permanent features of the international order, but temporary advantages of a unipolar moment that now has passed. The multipolar world isn't approaching. It has arrived, and the treasury market's decline in its most unmistakable harbinger. Nations are voting with their reserve allocations, and their verdict is clear. The age of America's financial supremacy is giving way to a new equilibrium of distributed power. Whether Washington can adapt to this new reality will determine if America declines gracefully or accelerates its own irrelevance through desperate attempts to maintain an unsustainable status quo.